everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Fun, 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 a podcast where we take fun very seriously. I am Dan, your Chuckle King, here with you as always, blessing your ear holes with beautiful noises of me talking to you. With me, as always, is the Chuckle Wizard, the producer extraordinaire, Nathan.
Good evening.
He has a
Daniel.
bit. Let me read it.
I don't have a bit.
No, I don't have a bit.
I don't have a bit.
He doesn't have a bit. I have a bit.
I have something that I'm trying something. I'm trying something new. This is
I brain farted on the bit, Nathan. I'm so sorry. Sorry.
It's okay. You're bad at comedy. It's fine. We know this. So the key here is that I want to bring something innovative to this episode. So we're trying something new.
Yes.
If you're on Apple
this bit's sounding familiar now,
or Overcast, you can do now smell-o-vision, which is we can add smells. It goes wafts through your AirPods. So I want to try that with you. Dan, what are you smelling? Can you smell anything right now?
Oh yeah, something smells terrible. Something smells like rotten, burnt fish flesh. What are you trying? What did you just send me, Nathan?
Actually, it looks like it's broken. That's just you. So I guess we'll have to try another time.
See,
hopefully it works. But our guest will at least be able to tell us about these
costumes over here.
That would make sense.
That I just brought back from a
sweaty
convention.
cotton costumes might be the worst smell of all time.
Good Lord, I gotta wash them. Hey, we've got an amazing guest. I'm excited. All right, because speaking of stinks, I love a stench, and we have with us, I think, the master and authority on all theme park stenches, who is working on probably one of the coolest books I have ever heard of. It is Liam R. Findlay. Liam, welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to sniffing.
Liam, do you like the term "King of Stink"? Is that something people can call you?
What would you like your authoritative title to be of stench?
Yeah, well, I don't have King of Stink on my LinkedIn. I kind of change it. Sometimes I say themed scent consultant. Sometimes it's theme park and museum scent consultant.
Okay.
Depends who I'm working with.
Hey, I just want to say King of Stink, no one will forget you. You know what I mean? Hey, we got to get the King of Stink on the phone, you know?
I'll consider that one.
And you have the accent, very royal. You know what I mean? Have we consulted the King of Stink? I love it. Liam, can you explain to us in the audience who you are and what you do for a living? Because it's so cool.
Yeah, I work for a company. Well, I manage a company called Aroma Prime. I manage the factory and I deal with all the sales, and we make smells for theme parks and museums. And their purpose is storytelling, really. So it might be telling a story from the past, or it might be telling a story, or bringing out details in a ride, for example. So yeah, there's lots of interesting tricks you can do with smells.
And I think that Disney is pretty infamously known for its smellitizers. Everyone has that phrase in their head, but it's not just Disney, right? I mean, it's everywhere, right?
Yeah, and in fact, I do a lot of research on this topic, kind of historically, and there's it goes all the way back to the 50s. There was Efteling experimenting with scents back then. Of course,
really?
Rolly Crump was experimenting with scents at Knott's Berry Farm. So yeah,
he's experimenting with a lot of things, that Rolly Crump.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wait, what in your research? What were some of the earliest theme park artificial storytelling stinks?
Well, what might be the very first experiment with scent in a theme park was at Efteling sometime in the 50s, when their Hansel and Gretel house opened in the fairy tale forest, and they tried to put a pancake scent in their little fountains, which failed. But these days they have a really innovative approach to it. So it's a nice kind of background to what they've got today.
They probably had to isolate and store that water to not allow it to get into the public water system, because all water would smell like pancakes eventually. There's probably something terrible.
Nice.
What do you do? How did they even try to make water smell what does that mean? Tell me, what does that mean in the 50s? We're going to make water smell like pancakes.
Yeah, well, lots of the old examples, even with Disney, they were using like shop bought atomizers, but at Efteling, they were just pouring. It must have just been like some essential oil from a shop into the water, so it wasn't going to work.
Okay.
But that yeah, if you go like into the 70s with Rolly Crump, he had aerosol sprays. So technology's moved on a bit.
Were we
Um,
when were we aerosol spraying historically? Like, I have no idea. Like, when did we start aerosol Febrezing? Like, when did we when did that happen?
Yeah, I'm not so big on the history of aerosol, so I'm not sure about that
Okay.
one.
I thought you might. I mean, we've been spraying
Yeah,
perfumes
but
forever, I guess, right? Like those little spray perfume things have been around forever. But so he had like those, like essentially like those bathroom automatic aerosol sprayers. Rolly was like experimenting with in the 70s.
yeah, pretty much. And when you do your sniffing, I'll cover another like atomizer experiment in Pirates of the Caribbean. But
Okay, okay,
we'll
I'm
get on to
excited.
that one.
Well, teaser. I have a package of stenches provided by Liam that I am so excited. When I got the package, he's like, "Be careful, it might smell." And I was like, "Oh no, it's fine." But then I was just away for a week and came back in my office. I opened the door. And I was like, "Oh, the smells have escaped the package." I love it. I'm really, really excited. But okay. So before we get into that, though, I have to know, like, what is the modern technology that we use to stinkify? Because it's not just as basic as essential oils in the dehumidifier in mom's room or something, right? Like it's more than that now, right?
Yeah, it varies. There's actually quite a difference between Europe and America. So in Europe, we've got lots of atomization where it spreads as a mist. So that really gets far and it almost absorbs into the set. So the whole place has its own smell, a bit like the TQ. That
Mhm.
I think they stopped diffusing for a long time and it just had a smell.
Is that
Um,
is diffusing a type of atomization, like a little like vibrating disc that's like just making the like, is that how that
Diffusing.
is that how it works? I don't even know how that little disc at the bottom of my humidifier works. I just figure it's like making sweet bass sounds and shaking the water up.
Yeah, the one you've got at home might be a bit different to the ones that are used for attractions. Diffusion is the word for just spreading smells. We
Oh,
have like atomization is when it's like a mist, so it basically kind of pressurizes and sprays it, so it's little
sprays
particles
it.
in the air.
Cool, 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 cool.
In the US, they've got lots of fans. You're a bit tidier in the US, so you'll have what's called scent beads, which are maybe ceramic or plastic beads that have absorbed scent, and they'll be put in front of a fan, and that will just blow scented air out. Which is used for soaring, for example, because they don't want liquid kind of dripping down onto people.
Oh, okay. So how do theme parks in Europe compensate for all the goo? The stink goo that's like why do we how why are you guys using pellets and fans?
Well, it doesn't really leave residue. It's more handling them, like when staff are handling them, they might get some on their fingers.
Oh, I
So
see.
it's
I
just,
gotcha.
it doesn't make too much difference, but it's a
I gotcha.
preference.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Oh, so every time I see, like, the Disney cruise ships are infamous now. Like all of the new ones, they just have them. They're like rat traps in a New York restaurant. They're just sitting behind chairs, just these little black boxes just plugged into the wall. Like it's like it's grandma's humidifier in her room when she comes to visit. They're everywhere. They're not even hidden. And in that is just like little packets of scent that are just being hit with a fan effectively. I'm not like they're not actually spraying anything, is what you're saying.
Well, they might be on cruise ships. On rides,
Ooh.
they often use fans, but
Once we
if
cross
it's
international waters, they can start flicking on the
well,
sprays.
if it's more of like a domestic setting, like a cruise ship or a hotel, they'll probably use atomizers.
And I'm
Eh,
seeing now that like hotels everywhere are starting to develop their own smells as like a byproduct of I don't know, DVC. I don't know. I don't know what it is that like now every hotel has a signature smell. Do you guys work on hotel smells? And I know you said museums, but like what when a hotel comes to you and what do you, Liam, do? Like if you were going to consult on somebody, like looking at their lobby, what are you looking for to say, oh, this is what it should smell like?
We'll look at the brands. Sometimes I'll ask them to like send through their brand guides. Let me see your logo and how you word things because they might be quite elegant or they might be more family orientated. Um,
Sure.
so we'll go through those kinds of things to make sure the scent probably reflects that. Maybe if they are a bit more, maybe if they're rustic, they'll have woody things in compared to if they're trying to be classy and elegant, maybe they'll have more florals in. So, and then we'll put samples together so they can try and give
Is
their own
there a
feedback.
flower that is more elegant than other flowers? I have to know. Is there the fanciest
In
what is
smell,
the
of course.
Yeah, what in smell form? Because they could have the face for radio, but as long as they smell good, these flowers. So what is the what would like a dame what would Dame Judi Dench have in her hotel lobby versus the Marriott Hyatt Regency Newark?
Well, when it comes to artificial scents, if you want to be more elegant, it might be things like jasmine or carnations. Um, but it can also depend on the quality of the ingredients. So one jasmine might have nice
Oh, I see.
ingredients, while another one's a bit cheaper. So it smells a bit more like what you might get from a shop in town.
In the smell world, is there like organic and like well liquor equivalents to like smell catalogs, like what you can tap into?
Yeah, a little bit. It depends on uh, kind of what's in the ingredients. Lots of it's chemicals. At Aroma Prime, we use synthetic smells a lot
Mm,
compared to essential oils, which are directly extracted from things.
sure,
There's
sure,
lots of
sure.
pros and cons to both. Sometimes it's better to go cheaper because the cheaper stuff can smell as good as, like if you want the smell of poo and you're a museum, the cheap poo's possibly as fine as the expensive poo because it smells like poo.
Quick, call the Stink King. We need the smell of poo at the museum.
I was
That's
reading
what
about Oh yeah, I was reading about our Horror Nights thing recently. They're doing a poo thing.
they're doing a
Just came to
poo.
mind. Well,
That
I
makes
think
sense.
they've it might be the Las Vegas one. I didn't read into it too much, but there's oh no, I think it was for Hollywood. They're making a bathroom themed scare maze with poo in it, which is quite a common thing. We get very busy at Halloween with poo and vomit and urine and stuff.
And are
We're just
there
12-year-olds over here.
also I have to know when you are looking for a poo smell, is it a catalog of poos? Like or is there just a poo? How many like
Well,
what do you class? Is there like a more acidic poo or a nutty poo? Like a more comical poo? Like what are
I think a connection here would be like the skunk stink in Figment in
yeah,
Epcot
yeah, yeah,
being
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
like a gentle stink opposed
Right.
to yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there has to be a more aggressive skunk than just like pretend burnt coffee. Like there has to be a real skunk, right?
yeah, well, that's an interesting thing that we'll do at times like Halloween or even in museums where they've got like war displays.
Mm.
Sometimes there's the concern that visitors are going to be too disgusted, and that can also depend on the types of audience you have. So,
Mm.
like in the Figment ride, I think they have like a burnt coffee kind of smell. So, what you see often kind of convinces you. You're convinced that you're smelling what you're seeing. So. Um,
Oh,
you might
right.
be a bit more hardcore in a scare maze and use like an authentic skunk smell or one that smells authentic. But for something for kids, you might use something that's not going to make them vomit, hopefully. So it might be coffee, but they think they're smelling a skunk.
All right. So what is the kid? What if you want a kid to think they're smelling poop, but they're not smelling poop? What do you put in your museum wall hole?
Um, oh, let me think for poo. It might just be something earthy, like a kind of earthy, muddy smell.
Mm.
But as long as they can see like a picture of poo in front of them. In fact, there was, if I get it all researchy, there was a research project where they had brown smell stations that had chocolate in them, and they painted them brown so that they were appetizing to the young children that were interacting. But they found that the children didn't even want to open them, and when they did smell the chocolate, they thought it was poo. They were like disgusted by it because it was brown. So
Oh,
the
This is
context.
like coming from a film professor standpoint. This is basically like the Foley sound art of smells, which is totally based on the idea
That's
of
a good
if you're
point.
seeing something, you can adjust and use some weird prop and make a sound that's similar, and it works completely just fine. But
yeah.
it's clearly not that. But it works best. It's better for the scene. That's so interesting.
So in a weird way, smell is like almost like a reinforcements sense. Like it will double down on the visual of a sort of story for storytelling. Like it will really drive home the beat with layering on an additional stink, not just a visual gag.
Sometimes I think if you're being rudimentary, if you want to be a bit more sophisticated, you might use it to bring out extra details. So, for example, there's an immersive theatre attraction called the Dungeons in the UK, and they have a
Hmm.
courtroom that you go into, and the judge accuses you of things. And in Edinburgh Dungeon, they diffuse the smell of whiskey in that room to kind of, for those that notice the smell, they could infer things about the judge that you wouldn't realize through any other means. So you can kind
Oh,
of
interesting.
add news story
Interesting.
details with the
I
smell
like
as
that.
well.
I like that. I like that. Is there a smell at a theme park that we would be surprised to learn is actually Aroma Prime, like secretly behind it? That like, but the park
He's
actually wants you to
scrolling through
think
his
that they're like,
NDAs, making
making
sure.
making popcorn or something like that. Is it like, am I actually smelling the popcorn or am I smelling Aroma Prime? Is like what I really want to know. Are there any of those convincing illusions that are happening?
I think at this point, especially with social media, it's pretty well known which ones are artificial. Like when people are walking
Sure.
down Main Street, like everyone knows that the smells coming from the Candy Palace aren't real, or they used to be, and that's something else we'll explore with
Yes.
these
Yeah. Oh,
smells.
I can't wait to talk
Um,
about that. I can't wait to talk about that. Yeah.
but yeah,
Are
but they are often real. If you don't know, then they probably are.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. Cool. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I'm excited. Can we talk about your book? Because I really want to get into this. I really want to get into your research project because my mind is absolutely blown. Can you set it up for us? Like, what are you investigating? Because the concept of this like tickles my spine.
Yeah, well, thank you for bringing it up. It's in progress. So for years I've been reading about the history of the uses of smells and themed attractions. But as you probably realize, there's not really any education in using smells, whether you're a theatre or a theme park or a museum. So I'm writing a handbook, which is growing and growing. It was meant to be tiny, um, about how different attractions can use smells. And this, it's based on lots of historical research, kind of like what I've been bringing up. So I'll talk about the smell that says scent cannons, for example, and then I'll talk about cases where it's been used. So Epcot, Bob McCarthy made this scent cannon, and this helped theme parks control how they use scents. Um, so yeah, it's a mixture of education and history to guide people in using
I would
smells
like
and
to circle
answer.
back to scent cannons. I just would like to say I have
Cool.
lots of questions there, but please continue.
Yeah. um, yeah, it's just to kind of give people a basis. Like you were asking questions at the start, like what form does scent come in? What are the different machines? It just goes over those details because if you're a like roller coaster operator, how are you going to find this stuff out? So that's what I'm hoping to provide with this
Wow,
project.
there's no resources out there for entertainment, like for immersive entertainment for someone who really wants to study and like execute something really well with smells. There's no immediate resource to go to.
Yeah, unless you talk to other practitioners or you talk to a company that's going to try and sell you their products. So yeah, I'm trying to give a non-biased
Hmm.
kind of go-to place. It might be a
Right,
year or
because
two, but
sure.
it's
But
being put together.
an informed immersive like entertainment manager is making better product. They're not going to just be cornered into, oh, I got sales pitched this product and I think that this is the only thing on the market. Like, this is going to be like, oh no, we could get poo stink. I just read it in chapter 7. The poo's for you. So it's just, I get it because it just makes better art.
Yeah.
So hey, thanks, man.
Now,
I'm sure the collegiate and like everyone thanks you.
yeah, for sure. Liam, I have to ask though: is this book going to be scratch and sniff?
Yeah. That was a follow up. Yeah, what are we gonna do here, buddy?
That. Unfortunately, actually, the book covers scratch and sniff and how expensive it is. Unfortunately,
Wait. What? How? It's become the expensive sniff delivery method. It used to be everywhere when I was a kid. Everywhere. What
you
made
wouldn't
it so
expect
expensive?
it. You have to print loads of them, which is why it's often, I've got a scratch and sniff book on my shelf there. You often have to print loads of them, or you have to have a big budget put aside. It can be a few £1,000s.
Whoa.
So if you're just at like a theme park like marketing team with £100 to spend, then it sounds like a good go-to, but it unfortunately doesn't work out often.
In your research in digging through this book, you're finding out how old techniques were used, but are you also like starting to learn like how like old parks smelled like naturally, like and like what and how they used those smells to their advantage? Was there a lot of like intentional smell crafting outside of the artificial stuff back in the day?
Yeah, I cover what I call incidental scents. Oh, there must be a good one. Oh, Pirates Water. So for example, Pirates of the Caribbean, they never intended for it to smell like a damp cavern and a bit like a swimming pool. But this happened incidentally. It's nothing to do with is it the 16th or 17th century? 16th, I think.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, pirates
but
didn't smell this way.
yeah, but that came about, and it's come to a point where if that smell went now, people would probably be really upset. So there are lots of incidental scents that maybe get a fan gathering and that kind of draw people towards attractions, or they might just help. It might be the choice of materials, like Frontierland is made of lots of wooden materials and there's lots of leather. So that kind of stuff, it wasn't necessarily planned for the smells, but when the hot sun's on that wood and you can smell it, you kind of. In fact, I was in Italy during a heat wave and it was horrible. And I was in a cowboy town and I could really smell the wood. And I thought, I just felt like I was in the Wild West and it was all
Oh
dry.
wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah, these kind of incidental scents can really have an effect.
Nice. I didn't even think about how it's just a lot of it's accidents. It's just, oh well,
Oh,
that
it's
wasn't.
like I mean, dinosaur, the electric vehicle stench is just like when I think of that ride, I think of entering the load area of Dinosaur Animal Kingdom. It has nothing to do with dinosaurs, but
Right.
it's
It's
primarily
that
just
bizarre metallic. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
that weird.
I guess that's what time
stink.
machines smell like. You know, like
That's
I
what
don't
time
know.
travel smells like at the very least. That's
Yeah.
for sure. That's so. What are your resources as you're researching, Liam? Like, where do you even begin to find what things smelled like in the past? Like, you're reading like journals or like Dear Diary? Today I smelled in 1943. Like, who's recording these things?
Yeah, well, when it comes to historical scents, it depends how historical we get. I was working on a woolly mammoth scent recently, which wasn't to do with theme parks. Um, but for that, there was limited reference, but I could infer from different clues. I read that they probably didn't emit body odor, which the customer wanted a sweaty smell, so we had to change it because of that. And then I thought about the environment that they lived in. They ate lots of grass. They would have had thick, matted wool that got dirty. So I went to a farm and I could smell where the sheep and the llamas were living. Their poo probably would have smelt different because they ate grass. So I could pick up on different clues there. Sometimes there'll be archaeological evidence, like I think there was fossil evidence that showed T-Rexes had meat stuck between their teeth, so we could work out that they would have had stinky breath. So And sometimes there's newspaper articles, sometimes what some of these Disney smells that you'll be sniffing. Bob Gurr said some stuff that was quite helpful. Um,
Wait, so you will ask people who smelled the smells so long ago, and they if you can. I mean, you're not going to find no caveman to say, well, interestingly enough, a woolly mammoth smells like a grapefruit or whatever. But there are resources. People are a resource.
Yeah, and often if we can, we'll if we're recreating a smell maybe specific to a culture, we'll send out samples for those people to like verify and make sure it's all correct. Yeah, people are some of the most. There's this Zeitgeist show, Zeitgeist Design and Production interviews Imagineers, and they do a Q&A after, and the team know me now because I'm always in there like, what does this smell like, and what smells have you used? So people are really handy for research, of course.
What did Bob tell you? What is something that Bob told you he smelled back in the day?
For those who don't know, famous Imagineer Bob Gurr of Monorail. And
the guy who
Matterhorn
drove the
fame.
monorail through the Contemporary at full speed to prove a point, as the legend goes, which is one of my favorite stories. But and also, do you take into account that Bob Gurr was like huffing gasoline fumes and like machine shop smells 24/7? You know, like. Do you take into account your sources and like how their like culture and upbringing and life might have affected how they actually took those smells in too?
Yeah, that can affect whether people are positive or negative about smells, for example.
Ooh, right, yeah.
Yeah, we'll kind of run it against other sources. Like maybe there'll be historical articles that say this really stank, and if someone modern says it was lovely, then we'll have to think, okay, where do we go from there?
Nice.
Yeah, Bob, he told me what Main Street smelt like, what Tomorrowland smelt like, and you'll smell those two, and what Walt Disney smelt like, which I'll also go into.
What Walt
Which I thought was a weird but an important thing to ask him.
Yeah.
Well, and also, hopefully, Yellow Shoes. We got to get them on the phone so they can get the stink in the robot. If when the stage turns around and I'm wafted with the stench of Walt, I'm fully bought in, baby. That's the secret to crossing me over.
It's
into
just
Uncanny
Lucky
Valley.
Strike and Burma Shave. Those are the
and
two.
A little mothball. Some, the smell of a hot dog burp. You know, like because he was all that man just ate nothing but dogs, baby. He was just eating dogs all the time. Before I crack into this, I have to ask and I did like a video about this a long time ago. It was a weird one. No one watched it, but I loved it because theme park smells are one of my favorite things ever. Why do we connect with smells more than like literally anything when it comes to memory?
Olfactory, this like line is in my head because I said it so many times. Our olfactory bulb is directly connected to the part of the brain, the limbic system, that processes memories and emotions. And when you smell things, it goes directly there. If you hear things, you'll kind of process it differently and you'll acknowledge it before you react to it. But because smells are so direct, you'll remember or feel emotional about a smell, but before you even acknowledge what it is or register what it is, which is why they're so immediate and powerful and handy for telling stories. If you like going through a dark ride scene after scene, if you can shoot someone with the smell, they can read the context really quickly because it's straight in there.
Because it's right in there. It's it's like we have a graphics card for smells in our brain. We're hardwired. That's why I didn't even realize that we were directly hardwired to our stink brain cavity. That's pretty cool. And I know for a fact, for me, my favorite part is just going back to the parks. I don't even need to ride a ride if I can smell it, because that's the anticipation of the joy I would have had riding the ride all the way up to the moment that I smelt it, remembering the joy I had. I'm done, baby. You don't need to ride it. You need to get on it. We could just preserve dinosaur by having a big hole that you just lean your head in and smell the electrical vehicles and be like, I rode it. I got it. I remember.
It's a little less chaotic too that way. Yeah,
right. It'll be a little easier on your back.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Liam, I would like to crack the holy package. Will you take me through what I'm about to witness here?
Yeah, so these are smells that I developed based on what Disneyland might have smelt like in its first 3 decades, based on the kinds of research I mentioned. And like,
That's wild, man. Time travel isn't real, but like I think this might be the closest thing. No one tell Christopher Nolan about how smell and memory works, because there's going to be 4 movies about it before you know it.
Because we'll get smell-o-vision back in theaters, and Liam will have a lot of work. It's great.
He'll do an Inception follow-up that's all about stink. Oh man, the idea of this is so amazing. So how do you even? Can you give me an example? Can we start with an example where you're like, all right, here are all the clues I gathered, and like here's what gave me the which is the one that gave you the idea?
I think I'd been researching for a long time, so I basically looked at all of them, and I thought there are so many historical smells. And the reason I've done this really is to preserve it, kind of like you were saying about preserving the dinosaur smell. Nobody preserves smells in the way that we preserve visuals and sounds and physical artifacts. So that there's actually
no one does.
There's
You're so right.
There's a big movement.
Smells are the biggest lost media of all.
Yeah. There's a big movement in academia. It's about preserving smells.
Oh my!
So yeah, that's what this is part of.
That just broke my brain, bro. I will be thinking about that for years. All right, where should I start?
I'd say don't start with Tom Sawyer Island, but whatever one comes out first, and I'll talk you through it.
Fine tobacco. I'm fascinated. We used to have a tobacco store at Disneyland, right?
Yes. So this tobacco shop was open from when the park opened up until 1990. So part of the reason for this smell is to highlight, like, people were smoking all over the place for a long time, despite it being banned now.
That is true, right? Like people were just lighting up wherever they wanted.
And you don't really associate Disneyland with cigarette smells, although this one's slightly nicer, because I was reading lots of like brochures and things that were talking about the fine ingredients that we used. I've read some people describing the products that they have and how they're all quite fragrant. So this is quite a nice woody, smoky kind of smell.
So what do I do to receive? Do I waft?
Yeah.
Do I sniff the stick? What's the safe instructions here?
Yeah. Take the little black thing out, and that it should have like a dipper that you can smell.
Yeah. Okay.
If it's not strong enough, there's some paper samples you've got as well.
Whoa, that's wild. That smells exactly like a tobacco store. What am I smelling? What is this?
So this is
I also, the idea that the tobacco store is on Main Street. The door was open. People were in and out of it 24/7. So Main Street was full of that smell. When you walk up to a cigar shop or like a tobacco store, and the door doesn't even need to be open, you can smell what's going on in there. And so the idea of this on Main Street like breaks my brain. This was it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So it's slightly informed by what different tobacco products smell like, and slightly, like you say, what cigar shops smell like, and also the wooden products like wooden pipes and matches. And this one links to what I was saying about Walt Disney, because I asked Bob Gurr what Walt Disney smelled like, and he told a story about being stuck in a tiny plane with Walt, smoking cigarette after cigarette, and he named the different varieties of cigarettes he would smoke. I can't remember the exact names, but it was very valuable to me as a smell nerd. So I like to think this is I kind of imagine this being that kind of nostalgic grandparent tobacco smoke. Like if you have a grandparent who smells of
it very
tobacco.
much is. It's very much that like open package of the tobacco pipe, like the shredded tobacco for a pipe. There's just something about like that jar that like in the shop, like when you crack that jar, man, like there's something so ripe. Now, what is it? Like, is this a blend of like smells that I wouldn't even associate with this, but the fact that like now I am thinking tobacco and like, are there little bits of that like seasoning, like salt and pepper in an otherwise like leather and tobacco sort of thing, when you're crafting a smell?
Yeah, there can be. This one, it's lots of different chemicals, really. Yeah, there's I was working with a museum on their poo exhibition recently. Poo coming up again,
Back to poo. Here we
and
go.
there were two smell stations because there's this thing called scatole, which is in it gives poo its smell, but it's also in things like jasmine and orange blossom. So it's in some really fancy perfumes. So there's lots of crossover of weird ingredients that are in stinky and nice things
So the
as well.
number one poo stink is also what helps like influence and like lift up other stinks.
Sometimes, yes. It was in a royal coronation oil that we were trying to recreate.
Oh,
So the king was having
Okay.
this poo smell put on him.
yeah, fair, fair. Something that I just did a little research. It looks like Walt's brands were Chesterfield and Camel, and then sometimes a French import known as Gitanes or Gitanes. Those are the three that came up.
Well, smoked camels, huh? So did my dad. How do you like that? They took them both out. Camel not filters, my dad and Walt. And now I know why they both went so early. All right, so which one should we look at next?
And on that note, let's do another smell.
Can we do pirates? Because I mean, that's like the thing. And I don't know if you're familiar, Liam, but I for a while, and I wish I could find it. I bought like 10, 15 years ago this cologne called Dark Ride. It was
I've
made
seen
by
that.
this cologne company that made like drag queen like colognes and perfumes and stuff, but they like had this, and it permeated through the bottle, through the package. It was a violent smell of pirates, and I don't even know what it could have possibly been. So I'm very excited to smell this because like it was
Wow.
the other one was very, very rough.
This is
So
an
where do you-
interesting.
Yeah, tell me
what was
about
that,
this.
sorry?
Tell me about pirates.
Yeah, I was going to say it won't be exactly what you're familiar with because this captures a specific moment in time. So that Rolly Crump and John Hench early on wanted to put a gunpowder smell in the burning town scene, but the fire department and the management said no because it would panic everyone, especially if the smell traveled around the air conditioning and went into the restaurant. But there was an occasion, there was a source that was brought up by Todd James Pierce, who's a historian, about Yale Gracie experimenting with an atomizer in the bridge just before the burning town. He emitted a smoky scent. So this captures, it's got two sides to it. It's got that kind of damp, earthy, classic pirate smell. And
100%.
Tom K. Morris has said it when it first opened, it smelled like a damp cavern, probably because of damp cement in the basement. But then I've put on top of that a little bit of a kind of artificial gunpowder smell, just to tell that story about Yale Gracie's experiment.
Yeah, it's very like tinny. It's very like metallic on top of that on top of
Yeah.
that earthiness. Whoa. It's so I smell it. I smell this and I immediately see that scene. It's so wild. I feel like I'm in like actually the creaking, crackling, like burning cavern towards the end where like you're in this is amazing. This is so cool. Wow.
What's exciting is I understand Walt Disney World since 2015 they've had smells in their Pirates ride, and I believe they have a gunpowder smell, so it kind of circles around, and perhaps this
Yeah,
smells
they
a bit
do.
like that.
And they have a smell in the auction scene, and I believe a smell in the pirate ships in the ship scene, and then the auction scene that they
Yeah.
added in. Whoa. And what's interesting is a lot of like people now, when they're trying to make the smell of pirates, are so hooked on getting the bromine, or they go the other direction and they're so hooked on like getting like the florals that come in the auction scene, or like the intense intense burning smell. But this like undercuts all of that and just goes into like the mechanics of the building, and that's cool. That's
I'm glad
cool.
you think
Like,
so.
we're not chasing that, like, because I don't want I don't want my house to smell like a pool. Like, I don't want my, you know what I mean? I don't want that, honestly.
That's the thing.
I am absolutely blown away.
Thank you. It is
Now,
with a lot of these recreated samples, they often have like a kind of perfumey sea smell to them. What were you going to say, sorry?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, for sure. When you say there's an earthiness to this, and we talked about like poo having many different flavors of poo. Are there many different flavors of earth when it comes to delivering earthiness to a smell like this?
Yeah. You've got sweeter earthiness and dry earthiness. I guess this one's actually closer to, it's got more ingredients that we would use for coal smells. You might notice it's kind of industrial smelling if you put that idea into your head and sniff it. And something I remembered with kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier. So Yale Gracie was experimenting with this atomizer, and they had these concerns about the scent spreading. I believe it spread too far again during the experiments, which is why they got rid of it again.
Yale?
At Walt Disney World, where they've got them in now, they have those fan machines. And the fans, they blow the scented air and then they stop and the smell's not there anymore. So these days we've got a lot better control over scents that allow us to do things that theme parks couldn't do in the early days.
By doing things like a continuous fan with a pellet versus like a spritz kind of thing is what you're saying. Like the technology has made it so that there is a more consistent delivery than it just being like a lingering kind of thing that maybe you get pushed through.
Yeah, so there's what's called dry diffusion with the fans. So that is just scented air, it goes out and then it disappears, which is really handy for dark rides. And then if you're atomizing a liquid mist, there's really advanced timing controls on machines these days. So you can time it just right so that there's enough for people to smell, but not enough so that it's going to spread too far.
Oh, gotcha. So it sprays just and at the right time that it settles on the ride vehicle, and that ride vehicle swoops it away and diffuses it into the air. That's cool. But Soarin' doesn't do that. Soarin' is just like it opens holes with discs in it, right? Like effectively, like it's like a CD catalog with like different discs of smells.
Yeah, it's a bit like the fan approach in that they have scent beads in it, and I believe they kind of use the same wind effect. So they basically blow the air through the scent beads, and it blasts on you, and then the smell's gone. And it's kind of a similar method to what Bob McCarthy, I was going to say Bob Gurr. Bob McCarthy developed when he made the Smellitzer for Epcot. There was the challenge of making sure people smelt the smells at the right time, but they didn't overlap in the ride. So he built this scent cannon, and it would have a wick in it that was periodically sprayed. And then there was just a fan constantly blowing through it, and the end of the big tube would just open when they needed the smell. When there's a trigger, the ride went over a trigger, they opened this opening and the scent blew out, and then it would close again.
So the whole cannon would load with the stink air, and then the flap would open and it would shoot out the stink air and then close up again and refill, like a squirt gun, but like for air.
Yeah, and the solutions,
Wild.
It sounds all complex, like how you get your head around it, but the solutions are always often the simplest approaches, like put a smell in front of a fan, for example.
Yeah.
It's often really simple approaches, and it's not always as expensive as people expect because it's just so simple.
Sure. So let's submarine. Can we do submarine next?
Yeah. So this is the Tomorrowland one. I've heard it said that the air in Tomorrowland was dizzying because of all the fumes. You have Autopia, of course, which has only recently been updated to electric. But there was also the submarine voyage, which ran on diesel. The Disneyland Railroad ran on diesel as well.
Holy God Almighty, Jesus!
And
what?
It wasn't
Tomorrowland
until
was doomed from inception. I'm realizing.
Yeah. Bob,
It turns out tomorrow is killing us.
yes. Bob Gurr calls it the god-awful fumes. So he agrees that it stank. And yeah, you can imagine these tiny enclosed spaces, these submarines with this diesel smell. There's a lot of sources that say it was really stinky, but it was updated in
That is
2007 to be
powerful.
electric.
It's potent. That's out of control. So the Autopia is cranking. They're also landing helicopters. Like there was a helicopter refueling station and landing pad behind Tomorrowland because Walt was always flying in with a helicopter. He had a big love for helicopter. So there was just big machines always going on in Tomorrowland. Like, and I don't
Maybe
even
that's
like
why
walking
Carousel
by
Progress
the Speedway.
was so popular. Like people just needed to get out of the stink, you know. But
Right. I don't like walking by the Speedway at Magic Kingdom. Like I'm so over it. Like it's just like I don't want anything to do with any of it over there, and it reeks, and it's awful. And that is aggressive. That's aggressive. And I'm thinking about it, and I have smelled that. I've smelled that at like roadside fairs where the generators are running for all of the games and rides, and like it's just that overwhelming like ancient machinery that makes rides what they were. Yikes.
Well,
Yikes.
part of the reason for this then is lots of historical smells are about highlighting stories. And this one, I think, is a nice way when people sniff it, it can help them realize how far we've come in terms of our environmental standards. The fact that Tomorrowland no longer smells like this, and then you sniff this and imagine it smelling like that, it's a nice way to acknowledge how things have changed over time.
Wow. Yikes. 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 Everyone got lead poisoning at Tomorrowland. Okay, Main Street? You said Tom Sawyer we should do last, so.
Yeah. Main Street, there was quite a journey behind this one. Your sample, I sniffed your sample. I prepared it myself in the factory. And yours might be a bit sweeter. I'll tell the story of its development first. So Bob Gurr, the thing that he remembered was the horses, the leather, the sweat of the horses. And he said that created the aura of a Main Street from long ago. There's of course the popcorn. There's lots of sources about the popcorn. The the flower market. So they had artificial flowers being sold there, and there's a 1970s source that says that they were artificially scented. So you had the artificial flower smells. There are so many smells on Main Street, and I was blending too many to begin with, and I sniffed some samples, and they were just rancid. They were absolutely disgusting. So I really took this one back. This one has the smell of vanilla extract, which is the main thing you'll smell. So in the Candy Palace, before they used commercial scent machines at the vents in front of the Candy Palace, they would put vanilla extract on a hot plate, and the vents would take that smell outside, and some other things like chocolate and mint, I think, peppermint. But it also has, and I couldn't tell if it was coming through in your sample, but I also put a bit of tobacco smoke in it, because again,
it's
okay.
there. Yeah, it's there.
Again, I wanted to highlight the fact that despite this sweetness that Main Street had, pretty much everyone was smoking all over the place. And it's again to highlight how much things have changed in terms of society and health and all sorts.
Were they trying to do things like infuse smells in the flowers, put vanilla extract on a hot plate, pop popcorn to actually get rid of the cigarette smell? Like, is there any evidence of or any suggestion that the sort of the toxicity of chain smoking dads, unaware of the joy they're trying to give their families, ruin the vibe, guys? Or was it just commonplace? Like, that's just what America smelled like?
Yeah, a big thing with historical smells is what we smell, historical things that we smell, we often think it's really stinky. And we have to remember, even like medieval streets, and we have to remember to people in the past, this was just the everyday smell. And Main Street had a tobacco shop, so I would infer that they were pretty happy with the cigarette smells. And
Sure,
they
sure,
probably didn't
sure,
even
sure.
notice them. They probably all stank
Sure.
of it.
Right, right, right. Oh yeah, everybody. I'm just traumatized by cigarettes. I just smell. I just hate cigarette smell. I just despise it.
We've
Are
got
you more
Wow,
about?
delightful.
that's amazing.
Do you like a pipe smell? I'm a more of a pipe smell guy.
Well, pipe tobacco was more richly flavored than cigarette
Oh yeah.
tobacco. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, like it's like the difference between like hipsters who are like vaping like cotton candy vape versus like my dad who was smoking on Camel non filters or whatever. Like yeah, there's a certain sweetness to when you coat your tobacco with sugar.
Yeah.
Wow. And so there's also leather in here. And what is it? What do you put in here to make it me smell like horse? Like the fact that there are horses like on the street.
Yeah, this one's actually a blend of existing smells at different ratios. So there is a little bit of horse in this, and horse is made of lots of specific ingredients that smell like hay and manure. Um,
Wait, okay, so
there's
wait, I didn't even realize the fact that you guys have at Aroma Prime all the base smells, obviously, but then you have like through the years made these recipes for horse and mud and like and tobacco shop or whatever. Like you're regularly now able to like in processes like this now sample like, oh, I need a little horse. Oh, great. Well, just dispense a little horse like a Coke freestyle machine. Like it's that's weird. That's interesting. What is the weirdest like listed recipe that you think that you've ever seen when going through the list of why did someone need that?
um, we've got, well, you talking about poo once again. We've got a big variety of animal poo smells. We've got penguin poo, we've got penguin vomit. Um, so there, there's lots of uses for bad smells.
It's crazy. Aroma Prime needs to open their own museum. I just need a museum of smells, and it's just a dark room. It's just you lean into a hole, you smell it, and you lift a flap. You're like, oh, was that? I guess that's what that was. And you just go to the next one. What is your preferred way to reset your palate between smells?
Well, it's disputed as to whether coffee works. I have
Wait, it's disputed. It's
yeah.
not fact. It's not like science that coffee works.
I think the idea behind it is that it's most likely going to have a big contrast to whatever you're smelling. If you're smelling perfume and then you smell coffee, it's probably the contrast that kind of
Oh,
gets you out of it. Lots of people say sniffing yourself can help because you're the most neutral smell to yourself that you could ever encounter. Um,
oh, interesting.
Again, I'm not sure
Interesting.
if any of this is really true. My go-to is that if you smell more than three things in a row, like one after the other, then you'll just get olfactory fatigue and you won't smell things properly or you won't notice them. So I'm more about telling people when they try samples, just have breaks between. Um, I'm not sure if smelling things actually helps. Smelling other
So there is no
things.
life hack. There's no real scientific life hack to reset your schnoz. Like it's only one way.
There
Just
might
time.
be. I
There might
haven't
be.
read into it enough, but I just tell people have a break.
Well, I
It's
think
going to
that
work better that way.
I think that I one of the things I learned about smells, and maybe I'm wrong, but it's not that we smell things; it's that we smell the change of things. Like we get used to a smell, and then like we don't. I don't know how it might like how's the right way to describe that?
Yeah, that's true, and that's why in a ride you want to use smells at opportune moments. It's not always worthwhile to like diffuse the scent around the whole room. Um, And in scare mazes as well at Halloween, I often encourage customers to have contrasting scents between the rooms because they're often tempted to like have the whole experience smelling musty, for example. But if you do that, by the time they're in the second room, they won't smell it anymore, and it's a waste of money.
Right. So by
So
contrasting, you're actually like you as an as like the receiver of the art are able to receive it better because when we detect the change of smell, not that something smells. So you need all
yeah.
those cycles to like really feel like you're getting different story beats. That's cool. That's science right there, baby. All right, is it time for Tom Sawyer? Why Liam? I'm terrified. I have just smelled some interesting, powerful things. I've time traveled. Why is Tom Sawyer the one we had to wait for last?
Well, it's the worst one, and I was concerned that it might mess up your nose and you won't be able to smell everything else properly.
So don't go through the TSA with these, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, how's that work? Wait, stop. I want to know that. That's a great question. Have you had to go through TSA with smells and explain to them what you have?
I have a friend, well, actually, I have some customers who have. Normally, it's okay if they're packaged tightly. We are quite thorough when we're sending things abroad on the customs forms. We like say this emits an odor, so that the sniffer dogs don't go wild. I don't think there's ever been an issue.
I guess
So
people are always. I guess we're like the mystics these days are always carrying like little vials of essential oils. I guess it's commonplace. It's like, oh, actually, don't bother that person. You don't wanna know why they have oils. They might try to sell them to you. So, the TSA knows better. They know better. That's so funny. All right, Tom Sawyer.
something that's come to mind, I did actually go to a train station last year. I'd just been to the Aroma Prime factory and I had a bottle that said cannabis on it, or like cannabis oil, and it was a cannabis smell. And they had like security guards and sniffer dogs because there was a festival going on, and they were looking for people with drugs on them. And I was really worried that the dogs were going to sniff me and find.
You literally have the thing the dogs are looking for.
I
They're not
know.
actually looking for the drugs. They're just looking for the smells and the treats. And you have a number one treat receptor.
I mean, and Liam, you look like such a druggie.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
like
I know.
yeah. I mean,
Yep.
it's
a great front
snifter.
you're
I
running.
would see. I could see you with a little snuff box, maybe. That would be
Yeah.
that fits your tone. But I'm not sure about anything else.
All right, I'm going to open it.
Right, Tom
Liam. What am
Sawyer.
I about to get here with Tom Sawyer?
Okay, so what you probably won't pay attention to because the other side of it is so potent is a bit of earthiness and muddiness. But
Oh my God! What?
this
What?
tells the story of the fishing
This
that would
tells
go
a
on.
story, Liam. This is strong.
When Tom Sawyer Island first opened, they had a fishing activity, and people could keep the fish, of course. And they were supposed to give it to a nearby restaurant, and they'd put it in a freezer for them. But apparently, lots of people would end up taking them into the park, and they'd be like, "I don't want to go on the Snow White ride with this stinky fish with me." So they'd just leave their fish around the park. You can imagine the hot weather on these fish. The fish start rotting under the hot sun. So they stopped doing the fishing. This smell is a nice way to tell that story. I think if the story were told through any medium, it would have to be smell.
You're not going to catch that one on How Disney Built America on the History Channel, folks.
No.
That's a story that you're only going to hear here, baby. I can't even wait. Like, okay, never mind. I didn't need any more context. People are insane. We're insane. That's insane. That's an insane thing. That's crazy. I can't believe you used to fish and keep your fish at Disneyland.
Yeah.
So stinky fish, I definitely catch that. That's there. That no doubt. There's some fish there. What else am I getting here? What else? What else took you down these paths?
I considered a bit of the ship, but I thought I'd keep this one simple. So there's a bit of like kind of muddy peat, damp peat kind of
Yeah,
smell.
I catch the
Um,
earthiness. I catch that damp peatness. Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, it's a simple one. It's a bit earthy and very fishy.
that's it. It's earth and
Yeah.
fish, earth, fish, and fire. That's it. That's what this what.
It's that was a different funk group that didn't go
Yeah,
so well.
yeah.
Earth, Fish, and Fire.
Back in the day. Wow. Wow. Okay. So I have to know now, in your pursuit, is there a hole in your research that you want to understand how something smelled, but you don't have the reference to access it?
Hmm. I think there's often good sources, and even things like the Horizons orange smell. That probably just smelled of orange. So, so normally there's enough clues to work things out. I think what I'd be really interested in, and I think it would be near impossible, would be to see pictures of the actual technology that was used, like shop bought atomizers or like the aerosol sprays that Rolly Crump was using. I'd love to see what they look like and how they
Oh, is that
functioned.
stuff mostly lost? Like the mechanisms, like were they not patented, or is that stuff just gone?
I think they were so insignificant to the people using them that they didn't think, oh, I better keep this for someone in 2025. I did actually, when he was still alive, I was in touch with Rolly Crump about the Knott's Berry Farm smells. But of course, being 90 something, he didn't really have very good memories about the specificities of the aerosol can manufacturers.
Right.
But yeah, as a nerdy person, I'm very interested in that kind of thing.
You have to ask everybody, is there somebody you want to get a hold of that you haven't been able to get a hold of? Let's manifest, Liam. Who has
Oh,
secret stench knowledge that you need to talk to?
I
You need to
think,
talk to Bob Chapek. You need to know what his office smelled like. We'll figure it out. We'll manifest for you. You know, you got
Just despair and greed.
just
That's all it
despair.
yeah, I think it can be really handy. Sometimes I'll just find really interesting facts, just like from everyday people. Like there was on, I think the Disney History Institute on Facebook, there was a post about the tobacco shop, and there's a man on there that was saying, "Oh, I used to work in the tobacco shop, and it was really fragrant." And just little things like that are like nothing to some people are really valuable to me.
Oh, I see. So you're just really keeping an eye out for like everyone's stories and just seeing what context clues you can glean from the stories they're telling.
Yeah, and yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead. Continue.
Oh, I was just gonna say sometimes it can even be like little facts about technology, for example. Like there was I think the first ever 4D cinema, Bob, not Bob Gurr, not Bob Chapek, Bob
Bob Iger?
McCarthy,
Oh,
Bob
Bob McCarthy.
McCarthy,
Okay.
who made the
Bob's all the way
Smellitzer.
down.
There's so many
Too
Bobs.
many
So
Bobs.
many Bobs. Too many
Um,
Bobs.
he worked on, it was at the Six Flags power plant, what I believe was the first 4D cinema. They had a smell mechanism in the seats that didn't work so well because there were too many smells. Um, but there was Sally Darkride's worked on that, and I read like an article where the CEO of it mentioned this project, and he had something to say about the smells that we used. And like, yeah, loads of clues come from all sorts of unexpected places, and there's like a patent for the machine as well, which is really handy. So
Oh,
yeah, lots
nice.
of kind of things
So
that
you
are
just have
said
to
by
read
different
everything,
people.
essentially. You just have to
Yeah,
read everything. You have to
looking through
consume
lots
all
of
media.
newspaper archives.
So I have to ask as my final question, what is in your opinion the best executed immersive smell that you have encountered? What is an immersive smell that you were like, wow, that was cool? I have to know. What has wowed you?
I going back to Efteling, and I guess it's a nice way to round off the history. The fact that they failed initially at the Hansel and Gretel house, and there's another diorama that kind of does similarly. Um, a big challenge, as exemplified by their initial failure, is scenting outdoors. So what Efteling eventually did is they put a scent machine inside the Hansel and Gretel house, and they have the visitors stand a few meters away from the house, but there's a big garden wall that they stand near. So they put the scent machine in the house, and then they put pipes that travel through the garden wall and then up through the bottom of cakes that are on the wall. And people are naturally stood near this kind of viewing area. So the scent just comes up from these cakes, and it's a really cool way of directing the scent. And that what they do at their Pinocchio diorama to achieve scenting outdoors is they have a scent machine under the pond of this big fish monster. And there are pipes again, and they go up into the barriers that people are stood in front of in this viewing area. And they have little holes in the barrier, and the scent comes up when you tickle the fish's nose with a feather. The smell of fish comes out of the barrier, and nobody notices these little holes in the barrier. It's like the smell just comes out of nowhere.
Wow.
But I love that as a
That
scent
tickles
delivery
me.
method.
I love it. So the idea of like secret scent tubes, it's like, it's better that who needs a cannon when you can literally deliver the scent directly to their nose. Like, I mean, you can't get any better than that. That's actually pretty fun.
Liam, if people wanted to be better smellers, so my wife and I, we love walk into a candle aisle and just smell stuff. And I guess double question. One, do you enjoy doing that classic sort of let's smell candles, or is it so like pa, those are peasant smells, I have higher nose desires? And also, if we are smelling things in stores, how can we be more? I think I've been teaching about media literacy recently, but how can we be more smell literate when we're smelling something?
On the contrary to being snobby in the shop, I'm into smelling. I was relishing the fact that I could smell rhino poo a few years ago, because that was really valuable to me again, and penguin poo at a zoo. We were doing like a behind the scenes thing. So yeah, what I find most interesting, the smells of candles and things are kind of less interesting to me now, because they're kind of like standard synthetic smells that I'm used to. What I like to do is look at the regulatory labels on the bottom and like check that they're keeping to the standards and like comparing them to aroma primes, because I'm really interested in regulations.
I like that.
You're the reason why they say don't use the toaster in the bathtub on the warning labels. You're the guy checking, it'd be like, hey, what's going on here?
I think to be more smell literate, I would encourage people to like go and smell rhino poo, theoretically. There's things called smell walks that museums and academics do, where they'll like walk around a city. I've done smell walks around theme parks, and I make a smell map afterwards so I can pinpoint where different smells are, as a kind of historical record. And that's a nice way. You don't have to like formalize it. You can just go for a walk and think, okay, on this walk, I'm going to focus on the smells that come up. And maybe you'll start realizing things like, oh, this area of town really smells like this, and it must come from that factory a few miles away. Or you might recognize that things are changing in the environment that you live in. Maybe there used to be a really nice park somewhere, and now it smells of football fans. I don't know what's going on in the city, but
oh my gosh, it's so funny you say that. The new place I'm working at in Minnesota is the small town is also home to a very large popcorn brand here in America that makes like Boom Chicka Pop and Pirate Booty. And so the entire time I'm in Minnesota working, the entire town 24/7 smells like someone has microwaved a bag of popcorn. It is a wild thing to experience when you walk outside of your office.
Dan, I was just in your neck of the woods over near Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, which is known as the mushroom capital of the world, because
we grow a lot of mushrooms there. There's a lot of
and you can, depending on the season, you can really get a woof like just.
Liam, have you ever smelled a mushroom farm?
No, I'd like to.
Yeah,
Liam, put it on your list to be at a mushroom farm for harvest. It will, Liam, it will change your life. You will never not forget that smell. It is a very, very aggressive smell. It's a very aggressive
I'll
smell.
make a note of that. I have actually, mentioning city smells, there was a 1990s source where an Irish dancer visited Hershey, where they have Hershey Park. And she said it was malodorous. She said there's an inescapable malodor of chocolate everywhere.
Yeah, I have a feeling I know why she thought it was like a malodor chocolate instead of a sweet chocolate is because, and fun fact, during the Depression, to make chocolate affordable, Milton Hershey realized that he could use spoiled milk to still make chocolate, and he could counterbalance that butyric acid of the spoiled milk with sugar, which was affordable and accessible for him. And so he was able to buy all the expired milk and cheap milk that milk factories couldn't put out and turn it into incredibly cheap chocolate, which is why if you eat a Hershey Kiss, it might taste like vomit to you in the UK, because we use butyric acid still to make the chocolate to maintain its specific kind of it burns your mouth when you eat Hershey chocolate. I don't know how else to say it. It's acidic. It is an acidic sweetness. So that is crazy that it was in the air. That malodorous chocolate smell.
Well, that's a great example of how smells can tell stories. Like when museums are using historical smells, this is a great example of how using a smell can like bring out this kind of story and help people imagine it or like draw attention to it.
Well, if you ever make it out to Hershey, Liam, you and I are going to go kick in the doors of the Hershey Museum on Main Street, because they have a little stink hole and be like, oh, smell what Hershey smelled like. And it's just chocolate. It's just cocoa powder or whatever. And it's lies. And we're going to bring that article and say, it's time to upgrade your stink hole because it smelled terrible here. That's incredible. Nathan, I know that normally at the end of every episode we say what we're doing for fun, but could we do a spin on this one and talk about our favorite smell to round out the end of the episode?
Sure. I would have to think for a second. So
I'll go first, and then Liam can go, and then you can go last if you can think
Okay.
of your favorite smell. Because I would like to start with the lobby of the Polynesian. There's something about, I don't know what it is, jasmine and volcanic rock or bamboo, or like, it's just the best smell. It's just the best smell to me. And for a while, and it's so fun, and maybe Liam can like attest to this, like every once in a while Glade will make like a limited edition stink, and they did in like 2012. That was like their Hawaiian volcanic like limited edition summer smell, and it was the Polynesian. Like through and through, it was the Polynesian. I still to this day sometimes go on eBay and I'll buy, because people are crazy, man. Liam, in America, we love to hoard with coupons. They're coupon hoarders, and then they just stockpile this stuff and sell it. And so I will buy 15-year-old Glade just to like mainline that bizarre like Polynesian smell. I just love it. Liam, do you know the Polynesian smell? Do you know why I love it?
I've got it written down somewhere. I think it's probably just appealing ingredients. And I think the reason, like, people have really strong attachments to some hotel scents, and they try and work out what they are. And sometimes you can. I know Centaire's done a few of them, and they've got like similar home versions. And I think a lot of the time it's just, there are very similar kind of common pleasant smells that are used for fragrancing domestic spaces. So I think it's why I often see like I go on like forums and stuff trying to read people's reactions to smells, and you often see people saying like, oh, I've been to Bath and Body Works and I found this soap that smells just like Soaring or Spaceship Earth or something. Yeah.
Flight of Passage. You got to get to the Flight of Passage candle at Bath and Body Works.
Yeah. So there's lots of ingredients that are used because they really appeal to people and draw them in.
Oh yeah, I guess it's like popular flavors of ice cream. It's like the smells are the same way. It's like, well, these 15 flavors always sell. Like, it's what people want. I looked it up because I know I had a little resource written down for my own research. Hibiscus and Calypsis citrus is the Calypso citrus and hibiscus. What does a hibiscus smell like, Liam, that I am specific? Can you describe a hibiscus?
I don't actually know. I can't actually visualize it. And that's an interesting thing about my job.
yeah. When you have to think of how a thing smells, what do you do first? You visualize the object and then you can smell it in your head. How does that work?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing with my job because we're in the business of making poo and sweaty feet smells. And I don't actually have a perfumery background. So
Okay.
my brain and my approaches are different. It's like a
Oh,
different area. It's like writing newspaper articles versus writing poetry in terms of
I get it.
how we
I
make
get it.
smells. So
Say
when
no
it
more.
comes to the nicer things, I'm really good at kind of differentiating different types of poo, but yeah, when it's more like perfumery things, I need
Yeah.
to read up sometimes a bit more.
In the world of perfumery, you're a slam poet. You're not,
Yeah,
you're just
I'm
getting there and doing the
beatnik.
aggressive stuff. Sweaty feet, penguin poop. Liam, what is your favorite smell? What is your number one smell?
Mine, in the town that I live in, there used to be an attraction called the Time Walk that took you through the history of the town. And there was a Black Death scene that had a Black Death smell. And it was not pleasant, but everyone in the town, the attraction is closed now, but everyone remembers that smell. So and this was a really immersive attraction, and the smells are actually made by Roma Prime back like in the 90s. So I have a really strong connection with that because it takes me back to that immersive experience and an experience that kind of probably inadvertently inspired me to go into attractions and smells. So,
Sure.
and now I can have like unlimited access to that smell. So
Have you
I've got
tapped into the Black Death recipe? Like, have you remade it for yourself?
Yeah, well, there are lots of smells from decades ago that we still sell with the same
Oh,
formulae.
really?
So, yeah, and that's a really good thing for fans of theme parks. When you've got generations of people that are really attached to smells, they can just buy exactly the same smell from us and
Huh.
take themselves back to the 80s.
I wouldn't recommend going through TSA with a bottle marked Black Death, though. I think
Yeah.
that
With a
that might
mysterious,
be a
vague
problem.
British bottle labeled Black Death, made in the UK,
Yeah.
it would be like, uh-oh, what's going on? It's just as dubious as walking around the train station with cannabis oil in your pocket.
Yeah.
The smell of cannabis oil. Nathan, what's your favorite smell, buddy?
You know, that's really, really tricky. And what I will do is I'm going to name two smells that have been sort of in my brain for a little while. One is because of my last trip, we were in Lancaster. And when you're in Lancaster, there's all sorts of ice cream parlors and such. And the smell of homemade sort of like waffle cones is so specific because it's sweet, but it's also there's a burn quality to it, and I really enjoy
Like caramelization.
Yeah, and it really does sort of like that smells like an ice cream parlor, like it just kind of hits you in the face. The other one that I think is I love we have a grocery outlet here which takes all the stuff it's all the redheaded stepchildren of food and brings them all together because nobody wanted them. So there's always crazy creamers, and I love to try like the most random things people have come up with.
I also have a grocery outlet. It's one of my favorite places to go, baby. You can get
It's treasure
a
hunting.
random gluten-free vegan box of mac and cheese for 10 cents
Yeah,
because
it's treasure hunting.
because no one wanted
Right.
to pay $7 for it initially.
Yeah.
It's the best.
It's great. But one thing that they had come up with not too long ago that I had tried was Fruity Pebbles / breakfast cereal has become this scent, very specific scent, which is now in candles and stuff. And I actually kind of enjoy it. It's this weird sort of highly
Breakfast
sweet,
cereal.
highly processed, but very specific a smell. So I
Right.
think a nice weird.
It's the kind of smell that when you smell it, you know whatever you're going to open your eyes and see is going to be rainbow.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Those are hitting my head right now, and
I dig that. So if I want to get you a gift, a cereal candle, a cereal milk candle is the way to go.
Oh, I had one of those not too long ago and ran the thing out because it's just.
Have you been
it's
to
nice.
Milk Bar in New York where they make
No.
everything with cereal milk?
No, I need to go. There right now. I have a sun-ripe tomato candle, and my whole house just smells like pizza, and it's too much. It's too much. I've overdone it.
Wait, what? You have a candle that smells like a tomato?
Yeah, Yeah. And it's you think, hey, this sounds great, and then it's like, no, my house just smells like pizza. It's not as good.
That's
So I need to change it up. I need to get away from dinner and back to breakfast, where I belong. So.
Liam, I am so grateful. Thank you so much for joining us and talking to us about amazing smells. If people want to follow you on your smell journey and get this ultimate smell guide, which will be leather bound in stinky leather, I assume, made with old mahogany pages for maximum stink. I assume you're going to try to get the stinkiest book possible just to maximize the storytelling of the book. No, I'm just where can we find you, Liam, so that we can make sure we get our hands on this stink guide in years to come?
Speaking of the cover, it's been illustrated by Rob Yo, so that's an exciting
Of course he is. Icon, legend.
It had to be him.
Victim of the notorious NDA, sucked away,
Yes.
never to be seen again. R.I.P. Rob Yo.
But not all his work. Not all his work, because this we shall see. We
shall see this one, right? His book covers end up not being NDAs more than anything else that he works on. Because the people who hire him to make the book covers are serious about actually making their book.
They want to make it. Yeah.
I'm Liam R. Findlay on most social media. I put the R in because there's a Liam Findlay that's the CEO of attractions in the Middle East, which is not useful for my Google results.
For your digital footprint to be confused with the Middle East theme park CEO.
I mean, it might be good for your company.
Sure.
But
yeah, I was actually tagged on Twitter once. They tagged me and said, "Oh, congratulations on your new theme park" or something. So you're welcome.
Well, you can also now show up to pretty much any party, I think, and be like, "I'm on the list." Be like, "I'm not on the list." Call somebody and tell them to ask for Liam Findlay. All right, baby, I'm on the list. That's fantastic.
If I may draw people towards it, I just published this afternoon, UK time, a video about these smells on YouTube. If they type in
yes.
Disneyland
You said that like late
smell.
August you were going to like allude to them. We're going to post this very shortly. So you have a YouTube video that goes into all of these on your YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel?
Liam R. Findlay. I think it's called Theme Park Smells. Brackets Liam R. Findlay. If they type in Disneyland smell history, it'll probably come up.
Perfect.
It's got lots of photos and sources and things. So a bit more.
Oh my
of a
gosh,
deep
I'm going to
dive.
be watching it immediately after this. That is so cool. Liam, what a pleasure. I love chatting with you. You're absolutely the best. Thank you for changing my life and telling me what Disneyland smelled like 30 years, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. My life has changed. My life has changed. I will never look at Tom Sawyer's Island the same ever again. Hashtag Fishgate. Thank you, Liam. All right, guys.
Cleanse our palates. We got to cleanse our palates now.
Oh, yeah. We got to smell ourselves. That's a great thumbnail pic right there. All of us smelling ourselves.
This has been a production of 710 Media.